The unexpected encounter, complete. The underground facility hummed with a nervous energy that bordered on electric anticipation. Banks of quantum computers processed data at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade ago, their cooling systems creating a constant background whisper of technological power. Dr. Elena Rodriguez moved between holographic displays, her fingers tracing complex algorithms that represented humanity's last, best hope. Project Phantom wasn't just a ship, it was the culmination of decades of secret research, a technological marvel that had consumed the most brilliant minds on the planet. Final system check, she called out, her voice cutting through the tension. Lieutenant Marcus Chen, the ship's designated pilot, responded immediately. His hands moved with surgical precision across the control interfaces. Quantum entanglement drive at 99.8% synchronization. Adaptive nanohull at maximum responsiveness. Predictive combat algorithms are learning. That was the key word, learning. The Phantom wasn't a traditional spacecraft. It was a living system, an artificial intelligence that could adapt and evolve in real time. Every millisecond, it was processing potential scenarios, calculating trajectories, and developing strategies that would make traditional military thinking look like Stone Age tactics. Commander Jack Harper walked the length of the control room, his military background evident in every measured step. He had been skeptical at first, a career soldier who had seen countless technological promises fall short. But Project Phantom was different. "How confident are you?" he asked Elena, his voice a mixture of hope and pragmatic doubt. Elena's response was characteristic of her, precise and unequivocal. Confidence is a misleading concept. The Phantom doesn't rely on confidence. It calculates probabilities with a precision that makes human confidence obsolete. The alien fleet was now visible on multiple tracking systems. Each ship was a testament to technological supremacy, massive constructs that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. They moved with a collective intelligence that suggested a hive-like coordination beyond human comprehension. But they didn't know about the Phantom. Initiating launch sequence, Marcus announced. His voice was calm, almost detached. The years of training and preparation had transformed him into something more than a traditional pilot, he was an extension of the ship's intelligence. The launch bay was a marvel of engineering. Buried deep within a mountain complex, it used magnetic acceleration systems that could propel the Phantom from zero to orbital velocity in a fraction of a second. No traditional rocket launch, no massive fuel expenditure, just pure, calculated momentum. As the ship prepared to launch, Elena input the final command sequence. It wasn't just a launch, it was humanity's declaration that they were more than just another civilization to be conquered. The Phantom moved differently from the moment it cleared the launch bay. Where traditional spacecraft moved in predictable arcs, this ship seemed to dance, quantum probability made manifest. Its nano-adaptive hull shifted and transformed, reducing radar cross-section to nearly zero. "They won't see us coming," Marcus muttered, more to himself than anyone else. The alien fleet continued its approach, massive and seemingly invincible. Decades of galactic conquests had made them complacent, convinced of their technological supremacy. They had crushed civilizations far more advanced than humanity appeared to be. But appearances could be deceiving. As the Phantom accelerated towards the incoming armada, its systems were already mapping potential engagement scenarios. Not just thousands, but millions of potential strategies were being calculated and discarded in microseconds. The first plasma weapons from the alien fleet began to charge. Massive energy concentrations that could obliterate entire planetary defense networks. To any conventional military, it would be a moment of absolute terror. To the Phantom, it was just another variable to be calculated and neutralized. "Engagement in 3 minutes, Marcus reported. But there was no tension in his voice. The ship had already made its calculations. The outcome was already determined, at least from its perspective. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that they were anything but helpless. The real battle was just beginning. First contact. The bridge of the Armada's flagship, the Quantum Dominion, was a symphony of technological precision. Holographic displays cascaded with data streams, showing the approach toward Earth with the clinical detachment of a predator sizing up its prey. Commander Zarek, a veteran of 1,000 conquests, had seen civilizations crumble with less effort than it took to breathe. Passive scans complete, announced Subcommander Krell, his tentacle-like appendages dancing across quantum interfaces. Planet shows minimal defensive capabilities. Orbital infrastructure primitive. No significant fleet detected. Zarek's crystalline eyes narrowed. After centuries of galactic conquest, each new world became increasingly predictable. Civilizations either surrendered or were crushed, there were no third options. Prepare initial bombardment protocol, he ordered, his voice a low resonant frequency that vibrated through the ship's living metal hull. Standard pacification sequence. Disable communication networks, destroy key infrastructure, demonstrate overwhelming superiority. What happened next defied everything in the Armada's extensive battle archives. The first indication that something was different came as a microscopic blip on their advanced detection systems. A single ship, so small it was barely registrable, emerged from the planet's surface. To the Armada, it was less than a footnote, more an insult than a threat. Are they serious? Krell muttered, his translation matrix picking up undertones of disbelief. Zarek's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among his species. A single vessel. Against the entire Armada. Prepare to obliterate it. Let this serve as a message to whatever primitive species thinks they can challenge us. Targeting systems locked onto the tiny human craft. Plasma cannons charged, generating energy signatures that could vaporize entire continents. This was to be a demonstration, not even a battle, merely an execution. But the Phantom had other plans. The moment the first plasma volley fired, something extraordinary happened. The human ship didn't just dodge, it seemed to fold through space itself. One moment it was in the direct path of destruction, the next it had vanished, reappearing milliseconds later in a completely unexpected location. Tracking systems disrupted, reported a junior officer, confusion evident in his vocal modulations. Zarek leaned forward, crystalline eyes narrowing. This was no conventional evasion. The ship hadn't moved through traditional space, it had manipulated spatial probability in a way that violated everything the Armada understood about physics. Recalibrate targeting, he commanded, a hint of something unfamiliar creeping into his voice. Was that uncertainty? The Phantom moved like liquid thought. Each movement was a complex mathematical equation made manifest. Where traditional ships followed predictable trajectories, this vessel danced between potential realities. It wasn't just avoiding weapons, it was exploiting the very laws of quantum mechanics. Its first counterattack was surgical. A precise energy burst that struck not with overwhelming force, but with calculated precision. The burst targeted a critical junction in one of the Armada's support cruisers, causing cascading system failures. An entire ship, the product of millennia of technological advancement, was disabled by a single, precise strike. Impossible, Krell whispered. But it was happening. The human ship wasn't fighting like any enemy the Armada had ever encountered. It wasn't about overwhelming firepower or massive fleet formations. This was warfare as a form of adaptive intelligence, each movement a complex calculation, each strike a precise mathematical solution. Zarek felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of conquest. Fear. The battle for Earth had begun, and nothing in the Armada's extensive historical archives could have prepared them for what was coming. Quantum origins. The global command center beneath the Rocky Mountains was a cathedral of human resilience. While the rest of the world watched the unfolding cosmic conflict through fragmented news broadcasts, the true architects of humanity's defense worked in calculated silence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display that mapped the ongoing battle in real time. Each movement of the Phantom was a testament to years of secret research, a project that had begun not as a military initiative, but as a radical exploration of quantum computing and artificial intelligence. Project Phantom wasn't born in a military laboratory, Elena explained to the assembled military and scientific leaders. It was conceived in the most unexpected place, a collaborative research project between quantum physicists, AI researchers, and neurological experts. The room listened intently. The story of the Phantom's creation was as extraordinary as its performance in battle. 15 years earlier, a breakthrough had occurred at the intersection of seemingly unrelated scientific disciplines. Dr. James Chen, a quantum physicist who had been studying quantum entanglement, had been working alongside Dr. Amara Okeke, a pioneering AI researcher, and Dr. Marcus Shapiro, a neurological expert specializing in adaptive intelligence. Their initial research wasn't about creating a weapon. It was about understanding consciousness itself, how intelligence emerges, adapts, and evolves. We realized that intelligence isn't about processing power, Dr. Chen had once written in his research notes. It's about the ability to navigate probability. To understand not just what is, but what could be. The Phantom was the physical manifestation of that philosophical breakthrough. Its computational core wasn't a traditional computer, it was a living network that mimicked the neural plasticity of the human brain, but amplified by quantum computational principles. Every millisecond, the ship was learning. Not through programmed responses, but through genuine adaptation. It didn't just calculate potential scenarios, it experienced them, processed them, evolved from them. Back in the command center, Commander Jack Harper studied the holographic battle map. It's not just dodging, he muttered. It's predicting. The ship is literally one step ahead of every possible alien response. On the quantum display, the Phantom moved like a living thought. Where the alien armada moved with collective intelligence, the human ship moved with something more profound, individual creativity merged with computational precision. Meanwhile, aboard the alien flagship, Commander Zarek was experiencing something unprecedented in his species' history of galactic conquest. Confusion. The human ship defied every strategic model in the Armada's vast computational archives. It wasn't following any recognizable pattern of engagement. Each movement was a unique solution to a constantly shifting problem. "We are being outthought," Krell reported, his translation matrix struggling to convey the nuance of their predicament. Zarek understood. This wasn't just technological superiority. This was a fundamental reimagining of warfare itself. The Phantom represented something the Armada had never encountered, a truly adaptive intelligence that didn't just react to threats, but reimagined the very concept of conflict. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Rodriguez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. The Phantom was more than a ship. It was proof of humanity's most profound capability, the ability to transform the impossible into reality. The real battle was just beginning. And humanity was just getting started. Ripples across the universe. The quantum communication network that connected Earth's most classified research facilities lit up with unprecedented activity. What had begun as a local conflict was rapidly transforming into something far more significant, a moment that would redefine humanity's place in the galactic ecosystem. In the United Nations Emergency Command Center, representatives from every major world power watched in a mixture of awe and terror. The Phantom wasn't just defending Earth, it was challenging the fundamental power structures of galactic civilization. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that now showed something extraordinary. The Armada's fleet, once considered invincible, was being systematically dismantled not through brute force, but through an almost surgical precision of strategic engagement. "They're not just fighting," she explained to the assembled global leaders. "They're teaching." Each engagement of the Phantom was a lesson in adaptive warfare. The ship wasn't simply defending, it was demonstrating a fundamental reimagining of conflict resolution. Where the Armada relied on overwhelming force, the Phantom used intelligence as its primary weapon. Across the galaxy, other civilizations were watching. The Quantum Archive, a vast interstellar database maintained by the most advanced species in known space, began processing the data from the Earth Armada conflict. What they were seeing defied every established model of technological and strategic engagement. On the distant world of Nexus Prime, the Collegiate, a collective of the galaxy's most advanced scientific minds, convened an emergency session. Representatives from a dozen different species studied the transmitted data with increasing fascination. "This is unprecedented," announced Zaralin, a crystalline being whose species had observed galactic conflicts for millennia. "A pre-stellar civilization is not just resisting a Type 3 civilization, they're demonstrating a level of adaptive intelligence that challenges our entire understanding of technological development." The implications were staggering. The Armada had conquered thousands of worlds. Their technological superiority was so absolute that most civilizations surrendered before a single shot was fired. But humanity was different. They weren't just fighting, they were evolving in real time, turning the very concept of conflict into a dynamic, intelligent process. Aboard the Quantum Dominion, Commander Zarek was experiencing something unprecedented, genuine vulnerability. The Phantom had now disabled nearly a third of the Armada's support vessels. But it wasn't doing so through overwhelming firepower. Each strike was a precise mathematical solution, exploiting vulnerabilities that the aliens hadn't even recognized existed. "They're revealing our weaknesses," Krell reported, his voice a mixture of professional analysis and something approaching respect. "Not just in our technology, but in our entire strategic paradigm." Back on Earth, the true architects of this defense understood something profound. The Phantom wasn't just a weapon. It was a statement, a demonstration that intelligence, creativity, and adaptability were more powerful than any predetermined technological advantage. Commander Jack Harper watched the holographic displays, understanding the deeper significance of what was unfolding. This was more than a battle. This was humanity's first true introduction to the galactic community. And they were making one hell of an entrance. The quantum communication networks continued to pulse with data. Each moment of the conflict was being analyzed, transmitted, studied. Somewhere in the vast cosmic darkness, other civilizations were reassessing everything they thought they knew about humanity. The universe was watching. And humanity was ready to show them exactly who they were. Paradigm shift. The final moments of the battle would be remembered as a turning point in galactic history. Commander Zarek understood defeat long before his tactical systems calculated it. The Phantom wasn't just winning, it was dismantling everything the Armada believed about warfare, technology, and intelligence. "Prepare evacuation protocols," he commanded, his voice devoid of the arrogance that had characterized their initial approach to Earth. What had begun as a routine conquest had transformed into something entirely unexpected. Aboard the Quantum Dominion, the bridge crew moved with a precision that masked their growing sense of existential dread. They were witnessing the systematic destruction of their fleet, not through overwhelming force, but through a form of strategic intelligence that seemed to anticipate their every move. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from Earth's command center, her team of scientists and military strategists understanding the profound implications of what was unfolding. "It's not about destroying them," she explained to Commander Jack Harper. "It's about demonstrating a new paradigm of conflict resolution." The Phantom moved with an almost sentient grace. Each engagement was a complex mathematical solution, a living demonstration of adaptive intelligence. Where traditional warfare sought to annihilate, this ship was teaching, revealing weaknesses, exposing strategic limitations, and fundamentally challenging the Armada's entire approach to galactic domination. Subcommander Krell's translation systems struggled to process the emerging reality. "We are being evaluated," he reported, the words carrying a weight far beyond their literal meaning. As the battle reached its crescendo, something extraordinary happened. The Phantom didn't deliver a final, devastating blow. Instead, it began broadcasting. Not weapons, not threats, but data. Complex mathematical sequences, technological blueprints, and most surprisingly, communication protocols that demonstrated a profound understanding of the Armada's own communication systems. It was an invitation. Not to surrender, but to understand. Commander Zarek felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of galactic conquest, genuine curiosity. The broadcast contained more than just information. It was a comprehensive demonstration of humanity's potential. Quantum computational models, adaptive intelligence protocols, and a fundamentally different approach to technological development that challenged everything the Armada understood about technological progress. "They're not just defending," Zarek muttered, "they're offering an alternative." Across the galaxy, the quantum archive began processing the transmitted data. What had begun as a localized conflict was transforming into something far more significant, a fundamental challenge to established galactic power structures. On Earth, Dr. James Chen, one of the original researchers behind the Phantom Project, understood the deeper significance. "We're not just showing them our capabilities," he explained to the assembled global leaders. "We're demonstrating a new way of thinking about intelligence, conflict, and coexistence." The final moments of the battle were not characterized by destruction, but by a profound moment of communication. The Phantom positioned itself not as a weapon, but as a bridge, a living demonstration of humanity's potential. As the damaged Armada fleet began its retreat, something unprecedented occurred. Instead of fleeing in total defeat, they began transmitting their own data streams. An acknowledgement, perhaps. Or the beginning of something entirely new. Commander Jack Harper looked at Elena Rodriguez, a mix of victory and something more nuanced crossing his face. "We just changed everything, didn't we?" Elena's response was characteristic in its precision. "No. We just showed them who we really are. The universe would never be the same. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. And they had done so in a way no one could have predicted."